Another start to a readathon. It's already late enough. It's 9:45, so we're gonna get started and go through tomorrow evening. I am going to use my little Happier Than Ever Billie Eilish notepad and write down my books to make a little physical TBR and then like randomly pull them because I just want to read them in a random order. So I have 4 physical books and then I have 3 ebooks. So I'm gonna write them down right now. And then I have this little pouch that I don't use for anything. So I'm gonna put them in the pouch and then randomly pull them from there. I think instead of showing you the options, I'm just gonna show you and then wrap it up after each book that I read, I think. So let's do it. I think once again, they're all different genres. And also, most of them are just like summery vibes, but there's a couple that are more like emotionally relevant, if that makes sense. Because sometimes I just need some empathy and understanding. So, Nugget's playing with the tripod. So thank you for entertaining my cat while I do this, even though you can't see her. I will also say I just joined a new book club and I really like it because we can read literally whatever we want and then we share what we read each month when we meet. It's a really nice variety of genres represented, which is cool. And we're doing a summer bingo with books that we read, so I think some of these are gonna also cross off my bingo. So maybe, hopefully I won't forget. Once I've read everything and we recap, I will attempt to remember to also check my bingo board and see if we can cross some stuff out. I wrote these very chicken scratch because I'm just really ready to read. And obviously this is the latest part of my readathon. In terms of time of day, I'm starting it later than I ever have. So, you know, I really want to get reading before I'm too tired. So if I seem a little harried right now, that's why. That's a great word, by the way. Okay, we're starting off with an emotional one, but I think it'll be good. It's also, I think, the shortest one. It is one of my physical books, so yay! We are starting with Mental Fight by Ben Okri. This is an epic poem, and I get it. Yeah, it's just one epic poem, and I love reading poetry in summer and springtime. And you know, just like going through it, being a sad girl these days. So I think this will be good. I just have a feeling. So without further ado, I'm gonna get this going and I will return either once I've finished or when it's bedtime, whichever one comes first. So talk to you later. So the bad news is I disliked this and gave it 2 stars. The good news is I'm pretty sure we can only go up from here. This was, first of all, it was multiple poems. I thought it was like one whole poem, but maybe he just like broke it up into sections in the format. I'm not sure. But my biggest qualm is like, I personally don't think his poetry makes too much sense. That might be subjective, but maybe I'm just too tired as well. But sometimes it's giving, he's like just saying very like what he thinks is philosophical things in my mind while he's on substances, and it doesn't actually make sense. That's my theory, is he did not write this sober, because I don't get it. I don't think a lot of the poems make sense. But his writing just might not be for me. I don't think I even agree with his worldview. I don't know, he's just like very in his head in a way that I don't understand, I think. And I don't think I ever will understand. So anyway, we're just gonna move on. So let's pick our next read. I thought it would be very like mental health focused just because of the title, but it was just very like be the light and like do the things, and yeah, it wasn't grounded in anything, and that like irritated me, honestly. Okay, so the next one's one of my ebooks. It's Penelope, which is a movie with, I forget his name, but the actor who plays Mr. Tumnus. It's basically a Beauty and the Beast more modern story, and so it's like your like stereotypical fantasy rom-com from like the early 2000s. And I watched it for the first time last year, which I know some people like love it and grew up with it. I saw a clip of it on social media, and that's why I wanted to watch it. And I ended up giving it 5 stars, not because it's like the best story ever. It's like super huge, obvious cliche with like Beauty and the Beast vibes, but what can I say? I'm just a sucker for that really cozy, wholesome Beauty and the Beast trope. So I have wanted to read the book version for a while now, so that will be what I wind down my night with and start the morning with. So I think this is where I'll leave you for tonight, and yeah, I think just considering how tired I am, I think we'll do a lot more like beyonds and more in-depth chatting in general tomorrow. So have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning. You're very precarious right now, so thank you for hanging in there. I ended up reading about half of Penelope last night because it's just so cozy and comfortable, and I'm kind of glad I got it on the like beginning half of the readathon because it is the one story I know already, but I'm surprised halfway through it's a lot less far in the movie than I was expecting, so I don't know if the second half will just be like super sped up or abbreviated, or like how the pacing is gonna work. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, for those of you who don't know, it's about this girl named Penelope who is 25, and her great grandfather or her great grandfather basically did this witch's daughter dirty by not marrying her after they were engaged, and his family like scoffed at her not being of their social class. So basically the witch curses him and says that the next female born in his line will be cursed with a pig's face, and that ends up being Penelope. And so the way that the curse is broken is by someone of her same class marrying her and setting her free, basically. And so it's a lot about like her feeling this angst of like having missed out on society, and like she's forced to live at home all the time, so she's like really good at a lot of hobbies but doesn't have a life, and starts to get glimpses into what life is like outside through talking to suitors who this matchmaker and her mom have come in regularly. But she like talks with them through a one-sided mirror, so she can see them but they can't see her. But she's at the point where she's like super over it and frustrated with the whole process, so she just like shows herself right away to scare the guys off. And then of course, as you can imagine, there's someone who doesn't get scared off. So yeah, it's super straightforward, tropey, but super cute, and I really like the movie and would suggest watching the movie. I just loved the movie so much that I was like, I'm gonna read the book version too. But honestly, with the pacing being a bit slower, I definitely prefer the movie as well. But they're not very different at all. And I think part of that is because I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure the book was made based on the movie. So yeah, it's not like the same as like source material for something. So anyway, I'm gonna go finish that. Finish my Pop-Tarts because it's typical day one of my period. I just want chocolate, and glad I don't have any responsibilities today. So I'm excited to keep reading, and I will pure destruction. I will talk to you when I'm done with the book. Just finished Penelope while we cuddled on the bed. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I do prefer the movie. I thought the book version abbreviated a lot of like my favorite, cutest moments from the book. So yeah, it was more like slow and then had to like rush at the end, kind of like I was imagining. And yeah, it just cut short a lot of my favorite moments. So I was underwhelmed in that way, but it was still cozy in the way that I really enjoyed the story. So I still give it 4 stars. I am about to have lunch, but I'm going to pick my next book first. I'm excited because I don't know any of the other stories. Like this was the one like revisit of a story. So, oh nice. Okay, this one is another physical one. Glad we have a break from ebook. I'm very pleasantly surprised that we've like alternated so far. So this is my second Kazuo Ishiguro read. I read Never Let Me Go, which I really enjoyed and was like one of the biggest plot twists I've read in a very long time. This one is The Summer We Crossed Europe in the Rain. So this is actually lyrics for Stacey Kent. It says, I have no idea who that is, but I'm excited. It is like lyrics plus illustrations. I think it'd be a really quick read, hopefully cute. Very different than Never Let Me Go. I feel like from what I've seen of his repertoire, he has a very diverse range of things that he writes about. But I love poetry, and I'm interested to see like what types of songs he would write. And this had summer in the title, so it was an easy option to choose for this readathon. So this will be my next read, and maybe I'll go outside for this one. quickly. The illustrations are my favorite part. They're really pretty. One of them I didn't show you. Some of them made you look at them twice. And I really liked how they're in the puddle. The lyrics were good. They just like didn't really resonate with me, so I gave them 3 stars. I liked how like the concept of travel makes you consider the passage of time, and so that's kind of the theme throughout, mainly in more of a romantic focus, so either tension, loss, or like the start of something, or just like the in-between of like where are we at. And I feel like that's the process of traveling through relationships. So I really liked that like through line theme. But yeah, it was pretty straightforward. It was cool to see like his lyric writing. I still think his writing is beautiful, even if that one wasn't my favorite. So time to pick the next read. I've been moving these around for a while. Okay, let's see. Okay, next one. I hope this reaches her in time. This is a poetry collection, and it is one of my ebooks, so going back to e-format. I still love that we're alternating, so let's do it. This is the last poetry/verse that I'll be reading. We have 4 knocked out by 4 o'clock. I just finished, oh shoot, I totally forgot to grab the author. I want to say R.K. Rin or something. She wrote the collection, I Hope This Reaches Her in Time, which I just finished. I think both of those took me about an hour, so very fast. That's usually how poetry goes for me. And compared to Ben Okri's collection, those two were a lot more modern and very simple language, so it was very easy to fly through. Her poetry is very similar to the likes of Rupi Kaur and Amanda Lovelace, whom I've both read most of their collections of, I believe. I did think there were like too many vague platitudes, so it's kind of, you know, in one ear out the other, not really like much to hold on to. Which you can do simple and still have things to hold on to. And perhaps it's also because of me having already read those similar poets, and so it kind of just felt like the same thing, but not unique enough that it was memorable. So I gave it 3 stars. I did appreciate it was broken into 2 halves. One of them was called The Agony, which was a lot more about like emotional processing through relational pain, romantic pain, especially with men, and all of the ways that masculinity can mishandle femininity. And then the second half, I forget what it was called exactly, but it was more like empowering poetry. So I really liked that it gave space for the sadness and the grief and all the emotional processing, but then also like remembrance of truth and empowerment and that type of thing too. But I would have liked either more specific imagery to hold on to, or more vulnerability on her end, just to make it a more memorable and unique collection. Because I feel like Rupi also shared a little bit of her story, and so that made it more memorable, even though it was more simple language. And Amanda Lovelace just does a really good job of like formatting and like stylistic choices to make her works memorable. But I didn't feel the same memorable quality from this collection, so it kind of felt like it was trying to be things I've already read rather than like finding her own flair. And I don't know if she has other collections, if this was her first one, I have no idea, but yeah, I thought it was all right, but it felt like she could have done a lot more. So I would say by and large, having read the 3 poetry/verse collections now, they were not my favorite, of course, because none of them surpassed 3 stars, but I definitely enjoyed Kazuo Ishiguro's lyrics the most. I think, yeah, they were definitely the most specific, drawing on imagery in a way that the other 2 did not. The other 2 collections were just a bit too abstract for me. But anyway, at this point, we still have so much of the evening left. It's not even dinner time yet. I have 1 ebook left and 2 physical books, so we'll see what I pull. Also, my aunt gave me this bracelet. It's a zipper, and it's so fun to fidget with. So I'm just like putting it out there. I've been enjoying fidgeting with this all day. Okay, let's pull our next one. I feel like we have 3 very different vibes, so this could go 3 very different ways. I've really liked the order so far though. I'm kind of hoping I'll get more 4 and/or 5-star reads though with the rest, because I want higher ratings. Guess what? Just like last readathon, I have a Calvin and Hobbes collection. So that's the next one. This one is The Days Are Just Packed. I love these big floppy ones. They're so fun. Oh my gosh, look at the back. They're dancing. Doesn't this just look like your ideal summer day? That was like just me outside reading. Ugh. I'm so excited. Obviously, I know I love Calvin and Hobbes, but I've not read this specific collection. I know some of their collections can overlap with other collections, so we'll see how it goes. If it ends up being a lot of what I've already read, I'll probably start skimming it, but obviously if I haven't read a lot of these strips, then I'll read the whole thing, etc. But yeah, this seemed like a very summery one, so I'm very excited to read this. So time for me to get some ice cream and sit down with some of my favorite characters. What a start. I had dinner, listened to one of my favorite playlists, which is called My Faith Rooted. It's basically faith-based non-worship music. So it's like Switchfoot, or like K, 21 Pilots, Judah and the Lion, NF, John Bellion, Michigander. Those are the main artists. I'm sure there's more. I highly recommend. If anyone is interested, I will link the playlist. And I finished The Days Are Just Packed collection. I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't my favorite collection, but I still really enjoyed it. And there were a couple adult jokes in here I was not expecting. One of the strips that made me laugh the most was this one. Wow, I flipped like right to it. And basically Calvin and Hobbes are up late at night and Calvin has to go to the bathroom, but the monsters under the bed are freaking them out. So in the last in the last strip, the parents are outside in the morning like, the plants on this side of the house don't do well. I thought that was hilarious and just like not where I was expecting that to go. So that was funny. Yeah, I had not read this collection before, but I like how there's always like themes throughout Calvin and Hobbes. There's always like seasonal themes. So there's always like, he's making crazy snowmen and his parents are like, what is going on? And then there's always like, Calvin and Hobbes have their Get Rid of Slanging Girls Club, which was in this collection too. And I love how he just has like themes that he weaves throughout, even though they're like different comics. He like reuses the same traditions so that it feels like a proper series that you're like returning to and familiar with, but it's still like new. Like this collection was still new to me at the same time, but it was super familiar, and I really appreciate that. So it was a joy to read, as usual. They're always a joy to read. I think I only have like 2 unread collections now of Calvin and Hobbes on my list, and then I own the 10th anniversary collection, which mostly has like Bill Watterson's commentary with the comics. So I do want to reread that one because I don't remember it, but I know Bill Watterson is just like very passionate about it, and so I would love as an artist to reread his thoughts on everything after I've read like the other 2 collections I haven't read before. I feel like it would be nice to like wrap it up with Bill Watterson's thoughts. So no idea when that would be, but just like thoughts as I'm contemplating more Calvin and Hobbes. So, okay, we're down to 1 ebook and 1 book. What's it gonna be? Is it gonna be a perfect alternation or not? Either way, I'm excited. They're very different books though. They're very different. It's really hard to decide which paper to choose because there's only 2 now. I feel like I'm accidentally grabbing both. Okay, we're doing this one. I feel like I keep showing these and you can't even read them. And they're backwards. So, there you go. Maybe it's just backwards for me, question mark. This is The Weight of Glory by C.S. Lewis. This is my last ebook. So, very different. The Weight of Glory is, I want to say 7, somewhere between 7 and 9 of C.S. Lewis's sermons during World War II. So I feel like it'll be an interesting collection of political, theological, and emotional reflections, and I think it'll be good. And I'm hoping it'll be even just like culturally timely to be thinking about like theological meditations while a lot of hardship is going on. And also I've just like been praying, thinking about multiple people I know lately who've like had theological questions and such. So yeah, it's definitely the more heady book, but I am excited to read it. So I will get into that. So I'm officially done with the readathon. I ended at about 30% into The Weight of Glory by C.S. Lewis. Definitely was like the densest to end with, so I definitely slowed way down with that one. Yeah, but I'm enjoying it. I don't think I'm gonna like love it compared to some of his other works. My hunch is that it's gonna be like middle of the road for me, which is still worth reading, but I think a little less timely than I was hoping for it to be so far anyway with the first third. But yes, so I officially read 5 books and then part of a 6th with The Weight of Glory. Rating, review, recap started with my least favorite, which was Mental Fight by Ben Okri. I just think this guy doesn't even know what he thinks, and it shows in his poetry that I'm still convinced was under the influence of something. And then 2 3 stars. I gave 3 stars to The Summer We Crossed Europe in the Rain. I love the illustrations in here. Like I said, I showed you a lot of them, but there's just a lot of beautiful images. And yeah, I thought it was interesting. Like, I never read songs unless I'm working on a podcast for my 21 Pilots podcast. So it's odd to have read lyrics without hearing the song. It's definitely a very unique experience, but I thought the illustrations did a really great job of complementing the lyrics in here. And then The other poetry collection, I totally slaughtered her name and I apologize. It's R.H. Sin. I hope this reaches her in time collection. I feel like I gave my thoughts on that thoroughly enough, but yeah, I thought she had some good concepts, but the execution was very forgettable for me. And then I gave 2 4-stars, one to The Days Are Just Packed, Calvin Hobbes collection, which had quite the mix of types of jokes in it. I think I always love when he has like oddly specific word choice because that's just what my humor is. And then I also enjoyed reading the book adaptation of Penelope by Marilyn Kay. That was probably my favorite of the readathon. That was probably my favorite. It was a really nice, cozy read to like finish my night out last night and then start the morning with. So I really enjoyed that. Overall, I'm very pleased with how we literally went back and forth randomly through ebook and physical book. So that was totally unplanned but cool that we literally went and alternated every single one. I feel very pleased with what I read overall, even though it probably averages pretty like middle of the road. I think I read them in an order that worked well for my energy in different parts of the day. Like I think ending the night when I was the most tired with a story I was already familiar with was good to keep the momentum going. Maybe would have preferred my other option at the end to C.S. Lewis if I did want to try to just like get as many pages as possible, but that's okay. The other one was a manga. It's A Sign of Affection. I have not read any manga, so I'm trying to get into it. I prefer wholesome content though, so I've like asked very particular people for specifically wholesome recommendations because I know some stuff is not wholesome and I'm not looking to get into that. So I heard A Sign of Affection was very cute and people love the show as well. So a little bummed I didn't get to it, but I'm sure I'll get to it this week sometime. And yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna check my bingo board and see if I can cross anything else off on here. So this is what I currently have. So no bingos yet. Here's some stuff I haven't crossed off. A summer themed book. Perfect. I can cross that off with Kazuo Ishiguro's collection. Story or author with a Michigan connection, which is where I live. I don't believe any of these were Michigan. DNF, I have yet to read a DNF. I am very stingy about DNFs. I try not to. Book outside your main genres. Unfortunately, I did not read the manga, but that definitely would have been one. Trying to think. All the other, like poetry, romance. I don't read much romance, but I don't know. I feel like it doesn't count as much as like manga. So I'm gonna wait and cross that one off after I've read the manga. Because that actually is like something I never read. Read a book mentioned at book club. I would have to reference the books we mentioned at book club, but that's definitely not any of these. Read a banned book. Okay, this one I'm like, what is even banned these days? I have no idea. Looking for Alaska is banned? That's crazy. Anyway, I'd be curious about that for like future reads, but I'm quite confident these are all way too obscure to be on there. So I'm just gonna continue on the bingo board. Tried a new author. Yes, Ben Okri, and I did not care for him, so there you go. Over 300 pages, that was not any of these, so that will be later in the summer. Book inflicts emotional damage, none of these, but I'm sure I will get there at some point. book on your TBR for over a year. Plenty of things have been on my TBR for over a year. Let's see. Oh, I can literally see on my Goodreads when I added them. Yeah, so I hope this reaches her in time. I added in 2023, so I can cross that one out. Indie author, nope. And book set in a different country, no. So, all things considered, I have crossed off a summer-themed book, a new author, and one on my TBR, but I still don't have a bingo. So I have a couple 3 in a row, so I'm almost to a bingo. Once I get a bingo, I can get a button through my book club, and if you fill the entire board, you get to be entered for a reading trophy. So those are our prizes. They wanted to keep the prompts like pretty easy so that people could get buttons, just like a fun little incentive. So I'm sure I'll get at least 1, if not more, buttons. But thank you for coming along with me. I feel like this was a very satisfactorily summery readathon, which is exactly the vibes I was going for. I appreciated the genres that I had to choose from, and I always enjoy reading poetry this time of year, and a little bit of romance was super cozy and fun, and comics, of course. It had very much like the light, airy vibes. Maybe up until C.S. Lewis, but I knew that was the one that was going to be dense, if anything. So it very much fulfilled like how I view summer as just light and breezy things, and it offered that. So I was very pleased with, despite not loving all of them, that they had those vibes that I associate with summer. So I would say it was successful in that way, and this was officially my first readathon I documented that I like properly read the whole time, because anxiety did not get in the way. I just enjoy doing this every season, so chances are you'll see me again in the fall time for some fall themed stuff. But in the meantime, I will talk to you guys very soon. I hope you're reading good things. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know if you've ever done a readathon, or if you ever would consider doing a readathon. What is a summer-esque book that you still want to read before the summer is over? I want to know. Mine is definitely A Sign of Affection, so that will be like as soon as possible once I get through my current reads. But that's all I got for you today, so I hope you guys have a good week, and if you are struggling, just continue to be gentle with yourself, have grace for yourself, have compassion for yourself. You're gonna get through it one little thing at a time. Just focus on one thing at a time. I know I can get overwhelmed when I think of like a billion things that I have to do when I'm like emotionally overwhelmed, and then I also have like a crazy busy week on top of that. So just keep it small. The biggest thing that has helped me these days is having way more realistic of expectations for me. I did not expect to finish C.S. Lewis, and I didn't, and so there's not like unnecessary stress or disappointment you're putting on yourself. It's really important to just be a better friend to yourself, and so I would say if you feel like you still need to be a better friend to yourself, maybe start with changing your expectations for yourself. And I know for me, something that's also huge is like changing my expectations per day and energy that I have that day. So like maybe I went into the week having an ideal of what I wanted to do every day, but the reality is when you get to the day, or when you get to the time of day, your energy or your emotional capacity might be completely different. You know, you have to allow space for life to happen, because life happens and emotions happen and struggles happen. So yeah, just give yourself grace to take the extra time you need when you need to like move stuff around in order to take care of your heart. Do it. It's not worth powering through if you're not doing well. Everything can wait. It'll be fine. So just some reminders on my heart today, I guess. I hope something can be comforting, hopefully. And I know books also can be incredibly comforting. So It always helps me, like I said, to sometimes also have like mood reads that are catering to the state your heart is in too. I think that's really validating and reaffirming, and you can literally see through the written word that you're not alone, whether it's a poetry collection or a story on a theme of something you're going through, or a memoir, something nonfiction that someone's going through that you're going through. That's one of the coolest ways I think literature can help us, is reminding us we're not alone. So don't forget to tap into it whenever possible, whenever you need the support. And it's always nice to hang out with you, friends. I will talk to you later. Have a good night.